Hello there, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be trying to explain to you how the government works, and because a lot of people seem to be kind of confused as to why the government doesn't seem to be working, and so I had the idea of trying to visualize it simply so that people could understand how it's supposed to work, so I can begin to explain to people why it's not working right now. Okay, so to begin with, you have the separation of powers, right? You have three branches. You have Congress, which does legislation, which they are kind of like the brains and the will. They represent the people and they make the law. You have the White House, which is the executive branch, the presidency, which is the kind of body and muscle of the government. They do the law, right? They represent the people and the states, and they do law. They actually enforce the law with police and such. And then you have the Supreme Court and the court system, which is kind of like the heart or the soul of the country, right? And they kind of keep the other two honest, right? So basically, the way that the scheme is supposed to work is that Congress makes up the law. They're like the brain. We, the people, we want to be represented, right? We want a system that will work where we can all come together and agree so the least kind of crap situation possible, because you can never create an ideal situation where everything's perfect. So we're just trying to make everything, if it can't be perfect, then we want it to be the least crappy possible situation, right? And so we, the people of the United States, get together in a group, and then we made this cool document called the Constitution. And the Constitution, we decided to make up a scheme that would take away enough power from the people in charge where they couldn't make everything really crap. And the idea, and then we also gave them a couple rules like amendments. First Amendment, it's free speech, free religion. Second Amendment, guns. Third Amendment, you can't station your troops in my house and they can't sleep with my wife, like they did just prior to the revolution, right? And that kind of gave us the rules and restrictions and structure necessary to make a form of government that we, the people, thought was the least crap. And so you have us being represented primarily in Congress through the legislative power, which makes laws. And they give the laws to the president to enforce, and the president basically enforces those laws, sees what happens, and then they record the information, and they give that information back to Congress so that Congress knows if it screwed up. And if that relationship is not great, then it comes back to we the people, because we are represented by them. We give them power, and we give them power. Boop. And it is only because we give them power that they have power. And then we take it away if this relationship is broken, because they are supposed to serve us to make things less crap. And so they need to give good information to Congress, and Congress needs to give good laws to them. And they need to do what Congress tells them to do, and yeah. And so one of the corrective mechanisms, if that gets screwed up, because it can take a long time for this screwed up relationship to tell we the people that things are off. And so one of the ways that we correct it before it becomes a big problem, and we need to take away power from these guys, is we go back to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, basically, they keep everyone honest, like I said. So the info that is collected from these laws is also sent to the Supreme Court to help inform their decisions. And the text of the Constitution, right, and the laws that Congress passes is handed off to the Supreme Court. And if we the people or one of the branches of government has something done to them that's not allowed according to the law, or they think something that's done to them that's not allowed according to the law, we the people or one of the branches of government sues another party, which is oftentimes, if it goes to the Supreme Court, it's oftentimes the executive branch. It's mostly the executive branch. And they decide what the meaning of that law is. And so the meaning of this law, right, either the Constitution itself or the laws that are passed by Congress or the specific regulations and articulation and action of the White House that they do. So either the execution of the law or the law itself means X, Y, and Z. That's what they do. And so then that's why Supreme Court decisions are so important, because we all think it means one thing, and they are doing it a certain way, and then they say, no, 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 no. When they passed the law, which we agreed that they had authority to make up what the law was, they meant X. And so you have to do it the way that that text originally meant it, the way that law was originally meant, or, well, then you're not allowed to do that anymore. And so this is kind of the relationship where these guys work together like a brain and a body should, and the body gives feedback to the brain so it can change its mind if need be, and then the soul, it's like kind of your conscience. It tells you when you're doing something wrong that's going to lead to bad consequences down the line. And that is kind of where we're at. And the weird thing is that today, and this is a problem I'll talk about in the future, these guys, the soul and the heart, are actually doing kind of a good job right now. They're keeping us to what we agreed upon. But they are getting all the flack because they're actually restraining what these guys do. And these guys have stopped doing their job, and they've started basically delegating out this power to them. And so they're doing everything. They're making the laws, and they're also doing the law. And so whoever's in the White House basically has all the power in government. And that's a problem, because then everything hinges on the president, and if we get it wrong, it's in for 4 years of total crap, which was the whole point of not having having this system in the first place. And so these guys need to do their job, and these guys need to not do things that aren't their job, and they need to stop violating this thing. And so these guys are telling them to stop violating this thing. And these guys, they're beginning to start telling them that you actually need to do your job and make laws, and not just tell them to do it for you, right? Because the majority of our representation, like I said at the beginning, comes from these guys. And these guys kind of represent us, but they have to hire a whole slew of people who do not represent us at all, that no one elected. And so when those people, the bureaucrats, take over, that is no longer a representative government. And so therefore, all this power that we give to these branches, right, they are, all this power that we give to these branches goes wild, because they're not following this. And this gives us the structure we need to have a good government, and the restraints to make sure that the system isn't crap, because we, the people, want the least crappy situation. Okay? And this is the system that we lived under for, like 200 years. And then all of a sudden you had people wanting to screw up that relationship. But that's a subject for another video. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and study and research this stuff. It's cool.